Imagine waking up to headlines screaming about a fatal $6,000 hidden tax on every American family. That is what the corporate media is desperately yelling about. The number is 60%. Donald Trump recently put that figure on the table. A potential 60% universal baseline tariff on most imported goods. The risk they claim this represents to your wallet is devastating. A hidden tax that they say will lead to economic collapse. The political establishment is terrified. Democratic and progressive leadership is terrified. Wall Street hedge funds are terrified. Their profits, based on exporting American jobs, are in jeopardy. They thought they had Trump outmaneuvered. They thought he would have folded. They miscalculated badly. So, before we drown in the media's manufactured panic, we must pause. We must ask the essential question that no one in Washington dares to ask. What if this isn't chaos? What if it is a single, calculated chess move? A move designed to force Washington to finally admit the truth. The truth, my friends, is simple. It is profound. It is profoundly angering. We have been betrayed by the establishment. For more than 3 decades, the political class, the progressive leaders, and the compromised moderate Republicans signed trade agreements that were not about opening markets. They were about securing massive profits for Wall Street and hedge funds, by sacrificing the jobs of American citizens and taxpayers. Here is the thesis, the core of our argument tonight. Trump's proposed 60% tariff is not an economic disruption. It is a necessary, high-stakes strategic leverage move. It is designed to expose and dismantle the moral hazard of the establishment globalists, who have been committing fiscal irresponsibility against the nation for too long. This 60% number is the fatal warning to the elites. The bill for their treason is now due. Let us look at the context that led us here. Since the 1,990 seconds, we watched our trade deficit become a gaping wound. It hemorrhaged hundreds of billions of dollars every single year. The globalists took the profits, but working families were left with the addiction epidemic, the crumbling infrastructure, and the hollowed-out towns. This was not an accident. This was a deliberate choice by the elites. They thought they could get away with it forever. They thought the cheap plastic goods from overseas would keep the American public pacified, unaware of the betrayal unfolding behind closed doors. Now, Trump has detonated this bomb, the 60% tariff. He is not talking to Beijing. He is talking directly to the boardrooms of Wall Street. He is forcing an implosion of their corrupted business model. He is telling them their game is over. The consequences of their actions, the job losses, the debt, the reliance on geopolitical rivals, will no longer be tolerated. Let us begin with the concept the elites fear the most. Moral hazard. Why is this 60% number the ultimate political grenade against the establishment? Why are the executives at Fortune 500 companies suddenly calling their lobbyists in a panic? Because they realize the moral hazard that shielded them is gone. For decades, Wall Street and multinational CEOs knew they could engage in ethically bankrupt behavior, like relocating essential production to countries with no environmental or labor standards, because they had an insurance policy. They knew that if things went wrong, if inflation got too high, or a supply chain collapsed due to geopolitical tension, Congress, controlled by the establishment, would simply throw another $1 trillion of debt at the problem. They had zero risk and all reward. That's no money anakodara, the daimar zisenzo, and if you take a lances, harbias, in daimar zen, daimar kodara, and daimar kodara, the 60% tariff cancels that insurance policy immediately. It imposes immediate, potentially catastrophic risk on their long-running betrayal. It forces them to make a definitive, painful choice. Bring production back to America, or face financial ruin. This is about imposing immediate, direct accountability onto corporate America. This is about forcing the globalist class to finally internalize the true cost of their profit-driven decisions. A cost that has been paid for by the working families of this nation. It is a pattern we have seen before. Elites privatize profits while socializing the risk. No more. Now, let us talk pure strategy. The talking heads insist this is just a tax on you. the consumer. They tell you, the math does not work if you impose a tariff that high. But what is the strategic value of starting at 60%? This is the very definition of leverage, applied at the presidential level. Trump is not a typical politician. He is a negotiator. He knows that to get the fair trade deals that protect working families, he must start at a position of maximum strength. The establishment has operated a predictable feedback loop. Foreign imports cheapen goods, corporate profits soar, the establishment gets lobbyist money, and the American worker gets laid off. This self-reinforcing loop is the engine of the crony system. Trump is using the 60% number to shut down that loop entirely. He is putting maximum, unbearable pressure on our trade partners, and critically, on the U.S. companies operating there, to finally agree to terms that honor the American worker. He does not want 60%. He wants 15 or 20%, the kind of tariffs that level the playing field. But he forces them to negotiate down from a position of absolute terror. The globalists thought they had him outmaneuvered. They were wrong. This strategic brilliance is why they hate him so much. This is not just about trade. It is about security. When a rival nation controls our supply chain, it jeopardizes our ability to produce everything from essential medicines to defense components. By using the 60% as a strategic threat, Trump is forcing the repatriation of supply chains, securing our national defense and our future prosperity. That is not policy tweaking. That is revolution. And, finally, we must connect this to the most existential threat facing our nation, the $35 trillion national debt disaster. The two things, reckless, global trade, and massive debt, are interconnected symptoms of fiscal irresponsibility. The elites used cheap imports to distract the public from the astronomical national debt they were accumulating. They were, quite literally, digging a deeper hole, while handing out cheap imported trinkets to keep the masses quiet. You see where this goes, right? They used trade to shield themselves from the political consequences of their spending. The 60% tariff is Trump's attempt to force Washington to become fiscally responsible. By threatening to disrupt the global supply chain, he removes the cheap goods pacifier from the hands of the American consumer, thereby forcing the debate back to the budget. That's frog time like two, Marky, and also Razit. They are back time like two. He is saying, if you continue to be reckless with the money and our future, I will cut off the globalist supply chain, and you will lose your source of political pacification. This is a move against both sides of the Maria aisle, who are complicit in the spending spree. This is a demand for accountability on both trade and debt. This is about forcing the return to sound money principles. It is a pattern we have seen before: politicians throughout history thinking they can defy the laws of economics forever, always resulting in a crisis. The media screams this is protectionism that will hurt you. But let us use some systems thinking and see the bigger picture. The immediate price shock is the cost of surgery necessary to save the patient. The true long-term goal is to compel companies to hire American citizens and working families, restoring your leverage in the labor market and increasing your wages. The media screams that the consumer pays the tax. But let us use some systems thinking and look further. The ultimate goal is to remove the reason for the tariff entirely by achieving fair trade, and more importantly, by restoring our domestic manufacturing base. So, what does this actually mean for you, the ordinary American worker? It means your government is finally fighting for you. It means that the long-running betrayal is facing its reckoning. This is about restoring trust in the system, the trust that your leaders will protect American interests first. If we do not restore that trust and demand accountability, the whole system collapses. The philosophical conclusion. This is the difference between true leadership and failed ideology. The elites are trapped in the globalist ideology that failed us all. Trump is showing true leadership by taking the necessary, aggressive steps to break the corrupt system and restore the economic sovereignty of the United States. He is confronting the moral bankruptcy of our trading partners, and more importantly, the moral bankruptcy of the establishment right here in D.C. He is settling the score of history. Do not listen to the talking heads. Do not let the lobbyists and the establishment win the narrative war. Do not let them convince you that your own economic salvation is chaos. If you believe that Donald Trump is right to impose this 60% tariff to fight for the American worker and impose accountability on the globalist elites, then you need to stand up and be heard. Hit the like button right now. Share this video with every single person you know who is tired of the betrayal in Washington. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more straight, no holds barred analysis. And in the comments below, let me know. Do you think this 60% tariff gamble is the necessary medicine to cure America's economic betrayal and restore our manufacturing base, or is it too risky? Let me hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time. Never stop fighting for the truth.